So we're at day 16 of our Seeing Jesus challenge, and today we talked about the arresting mob and how Judas led that mixed group from Roman soldiers as well as soldiers from the temple, and brought them to Jesus and sold Jesus out with a kiss. You know, I think the question that always comes to mind, the one that people always want to answer, is why did Judas betray Jesus? And when we look for that answer, I think there are three, maybe four reasons that we can come up with. The first one that I hear people say a lot of times is, well, he didn't have any choice. He had to do it. You know, God created him for that reason, and he had sold himself out to Satan, and so Satan was leading him down that road. And here's my problem with that. That's a slippery slope. If I'm going to begin to say, well, Judas, you know, is excused somehow, and he didn't have any choice, and the devil made him do it, then it's not very far to go from that to excusing any bad behavior that's out there in the world. And then we're down to what the old Flip Wilson used to say: the devil made me do it, and so I'm not responsible. I'm not to be held responsible for my actions because I was programmed in that direction, or the devil made me do it. And so I don't think we should just assign that to Judas and say, well, he didn't have any choice. He did have a choice. He did make decisions, but his choices had consequences, but he had choices, and he made the choices that he made for reasons that only he knows. I think the second thing that you usually hear is, well, he wanted the money, and so he sold Jesus out for the money. And you know, the reality is, if that's true, then he didn't get a whole lot of money. 30 pieces of silver really wasn't that much money for anything, and so there wasn't much he was going to do with that. And then on top of that, if that's the case, then why did he throw the money back at them when he realized Jesus was going to go to the cross and die? And so, you know, it makes it kind of hard to argue that he just wanted the money. And then some people put a twist on that one with the third one and say, well, he wanted the money, but he was going to put the money back into the treasury, and so nobody would know that he was stealing, robbing from the pot as they went along. And he threw the money back because he realized, you know, when Jesus wasn't going to be there, he didn't need to put the money back in the pot anymore, and he was ashamed of what he did. And I guess you could make that argument, but you know, if Jesus isn't going to be around anymore, then you know, why not just keep the money, because the pot's going to disappear anyway? I think the most likely version of why Judas did what he did was that he was trying to force Jesus's hand. He wanted a revolution. Some people believe that Judas was part of the zealots who wanted to overthrow the Roman government, and they were looking for a political leader, a Messiah, to come and lead a revolution. And it's very possible that Judas began to follow Jesus so that he believed he could be the one that could start the revolution. And I believe maybe he wanted to force Jesus's hand, and he thought if Jesus got arrested that he would have to demonstrate his power and do something miraculous to deliver himself, and then people would rally around him, and the revolution would be on. And then when he recognized that Jesus wasn't going to do anything, that Jesus wasn't going to perform some miracle and deliver himself, but was going to allow himself to be executed, to be crucified, I believe Judas realized that he had misplayed his hand, and in sorrow and grief he committed suicide. And what I want us to hear out of that this day as we think about Judas is this: we are all sometimes guilty of trying to force God's hand. We all sometimes make our plans and do our things and then look at God and go, are you okay with this? And really we're trying to manipulate God and control God, when what we need to be doing is coming to God before we do anything or say anything or take any action, and saying, God, what is it you want me to do? And then waiting for his direction. So I'm one of these advocates that says, let's not be too harsh on Judas, because there's a little bit of Judas in all of us. And that means we need to be on guard today and make sure we're surrendered to God's will. Then we can have a great day.